Jude Children's Research Hospital works around the clock to deliver life-saving care, and it's all made possible by a dedicated staff. Melissa talks with one team member who shared why the work means so much to her and how a personal connection to St. Jude fuels her passion every single day. Take a look.
When I was a senior in high school, one of my best friends was actually diagnosed with a brain tumor, Carly. And unfortunately, she passed away 2 years later. But through her experience and walking alongside her, I realized I had a pretty big heart for pediatric care in general.
You have an incredible purpose here that is rooted in a very personal story. Elise, help us understand, what do you do as a genetic counselor? What's your role?
So genetic counselors are trained in medical genetics and short-term crisis counseling. And so at St. Jude, we have learned that about just under 20% of kids who are diagnosed with a cancer or a tumor actually have an underlying genetic condition. And that condition puts them at a greater risk to get cancers. And so my job is to work with the patients at St. Jude to figure out who those kids are who have those genetic conditions, and then use what we know about their specific risk to develop a surveillance plan for them. So we'll use MRIs or labs or exams to try to identify cancers at their earliest stages when they're the most easy to treat.
Have you been able to see firsthand the work that you're doing impact patients and their families?
Oh yes, definitely. Dr. Melissa Perino and I actually published a paper this year where we found that 10% of our kids who have genetic conditions will be diagnosed with a new tumor within 3 years. And so I've had many kids have a tumor picked up on surveillance, and fortunately they're small and easy to resect. And the thing that has become the most striking to me as my time here has gone on is that we're not just like saving these kids' lives, but we're also saving their childhood. When we can identify a tumor at an early stage, then we can treat it with surgery only, and 80% of the time that's what we do. And so that looks like, 2 weeks of recovery, and then we're back at school, we're back at soccer practice, we're back with our friends. Versus if we don't pick up tumors early, we have years of treatment. And we do an amazing job treating kids who need years of treatment, but when we can save them from that and give them, time back at home, that is invaluable.
Talk to us about how St. Jude is known as kind of like a bench to bed hospital. Help us understand what that means and the type of impact it has on the lives of patients.
Bench to bedside essentially means that, we're doing work in the lab or in the research sector, and then we're taking what we learn and we're applying it directly to our patients in that moment. It's truly an honor to work with these families and to be involved in their care, and to, be a phone call away and know that they trust me with their child, and that they can call me and I can help them or get them where they need to go. It's also just such an encouraging place to be. It's so happy and fun, and we have pushed the boundaries on survival. 80% of children diagnosed with cancer are now surviving, which is amazing. And even though Carly didn't have that opportunity, we learn from her, and we learn from every child who's diagnosed with cancer, and we take that information and we use it. I work directly with genetic counseling students, and every time a new student comes in, they're always like, oh, it's gonna be so sad. I'm so nervous that it's gonna be so sad. And within 2 days, they're like, this is the happiest place on earth. There's so it's a very encouraging environment, very hopeful environment, and for good reason, right? We've worked really hard to create that hope and to make that hope real for our patients and families.